I'm going to walk you through on which form you would choose when you're choosing the Supervised Agriculture Experience Placement Waiver Forms. It's quite simple. Let's get started. So you've been given a simple PowerPoint and you're at the page in the PowerPoint that looks like this. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Step 1, click on the hyperlink. Supervised Agriculture Experience. You would hover over it and it's going to bring you to the SAE Placement Manual that the state of Connecticut's Department of Labor and Education has put together. Once you're here, you scroll to page 10. It's good if you do this with me so you can see how it works. Now, on page 10, you're going to see this box with 3 click here's. You're going to choose either the first, second, or third. We're going to start with unpaid waiver. This form is chosen regardless of your age, and you choose this if you're working at an approved nonprofit organization. And you would ask your employer if they're a certified nonprofit. And once they say yes, you ask them to give you paperwork documenting that you send to the state of Connecticut. Talk to your teacher and they will explain further on what you exactly need for that. But you click this and it's going to bring you right to that form. And then we're going to do this form in entirety so you can see how it works. And you can pause this video anytime you want in order to ask questions and come back to it at a later date. So the first thing you want to do is click this box here that says Supervised Agriculture Experience, SAE, because at your high school, if you're in agriculture program, this is the box you choose. You then simply fill in the simple information, student name, your date of birth. Now this information here, you may be like, what does that mean? Career Pathway Cluster approved by Connecticut Department of Education. This just is where you are in. Are you in animal science, plant science, ag mechanics, natural resources, turf? Whatever the placement is that you are in your school life, that's what you place there. So I'm going to assume that I'm in animal science right now. And I'm going to type that in, animal science. Okay. So that's very simple. So Student Career Pathway Supervisor. This is who it is that's overseeing you at your school. The person that comes and visits you. It may be your teacher, it may be an advisor. You can ask your teacher if they are actually going to be your supervisor as well, who comes out and visits you in the summer and during the school year. You type that person's name right in that box next to it. You're going to then fill out your school name, the phone number of the school, the email of the teacher that's going to be your supervisor, the address of the school, the city of the school, the zip code, and right here you have career path supervisor name. Again, this is usually the teacher, but sometimes it can be somebody else. Ask your teacher to clarify if it's going to be them or an advisor that's part of the department. Where it says school year or summer, you would either choose both boxes or one, depending if during the school year a different person comes to see you. And if it is a different person, see where it says summer monitor, you would then choose to type in the different person's name here. Next is your employer information. Pretty straightforward. We're going to say this is Rose's Horse Rescue. You put in the phone number, and then here comes the fun part, nonprofit documentation. You need to ask your nonprofit work employer for their state documentation that proves that they are a certified nonprofit for the state of Connecticut. Once you get that information, you bring it to school, give it to your teacher, so your teacher or your advisor can send it in to the state of Connecticut for approval. This is very important in order for you to be a non-paid employee at this new company. Now, where you see or on file at SDE, That means, for example, you worked at this place in the past, or another student has worked in this place in the past and it's been approved. Then you would just click that box because it was a site that was utilized before for an SAE, and you're all set. You don't have to go get the documentation. Your teacher would know this information. Next, worksite mentor name. This may be confusing. Well, who's my mentor and how is that different from my supervisor? This is simply the person that is stationary at your workplace that oversees what you're doing. It's usually your boss. It can also be a manager of the facility, and they're the person who tells you what to do on a daily basis when you're there. And you type that person's name in there. We'll say it's the owner. We'll say it's Rose Smith. You are going to provide us with the phone number, the email address, the address of the horse farm. Let's pretend it's 1 Horse Barn Hill Road, the city, the state, the zip code, and now we get down to the end date. This is an important date that you need to be aware of. And your SAE manual that you linked to in the beginning of this tutorial has those dates if you forget. Luckily, if you do this paperwork and send it into the state May 1st or after, your date is good through the following September. So let me show you. So May 1st, 2015, and your end date is September 30th, 2016. So you get over a year in order to have this paperwork be valid with the state of Connecticut. If you forget, you can simply go back to the State of Connecticut manual and scroll down, and I will show you where to find that information. It's actually right where we were when we clicked on page 10. All waivers have a September 30th end date, but the year that it ends is determined by when you actually fill out the forms. And they give an example right here. Example, unpaid waivers received April 14th. It will be an end date of September 30th of the same year. However, if you fill out this form and send it to the state May 1st, it is good through the following September of the following year. So that May 1st is a very important date. Let's go back to the form. So now you know about end date. So here ends the first page of this tutorial. Once you are done doing this part, I just want to remind you, you're going to put your signature, you're going to have your parents sign it, you're going to get the principal's signature of your school, and your supervisor, which again, may or may not be your teacher, and you need to ask your teacher that information. These last 2 lines you leave blank. They are going to be signed by the Connecticut Department of Education, and that is very important because they sign there once they approve your placement. This ends the tutorial for the first page of the unpaid waiver. Thank you for your time.